Thanks for coming out, everyone, to see me today. Yeah, enjoy the food. I'm glad that worked out. Julia did a great job of organizing all that, and setting it up. So the card that was passed around said, the future of cryptocurrency, overcoming the limitations. Here it is. I think this is the one. Nope, this is the new one. Overcoming the limitations. So what I wanted to do today was talk about where are we at right now and share some ideas with you. I'll go ahead and tell you a little bit about myself first. So my name's Ben Wilson. I've been in Charlotte for about 25 years, and I'm an entrepreneur. Started a few businesses. One of them happens to be Delivery Path. We run a website, WordPress, I got to get it straight, a WordPress website hosting company, and that does pretty well. And I've lived here for 25 years, and I like to start businesses. I'm an entrepreneur, and the last 2 years of my life, I've been working on a project, which I'm going to share with you, but I've been in the cryptocurrency space for about 5 years now, and I've spent a lot of time in that space. Before we get started and get too deep into it, I want to make sure it's crystal clear that anytime I speak about a specific name of a cryptocurrency, or we speak about certain technologies, or I might share my excitement with you about a certain one, I'm not telling you that you need to go buy that one. I'm not giving you any financial or investment advice. So if you're intending to go and do something with this information that I might share with you, you might want to consult your financial advisor or a friend, or just do some deeper research. But just to protect myself, I want you to know that I'm not trying to sell you anything here. There's nothing for sale today. I'm trying to make a joke out of that, but there's no joke.
I can't sue you?
No, you can't sue me. Yeah, I really hope that you don't. Okay, and then there's two key terms that I want to clarify before we get started, because I will make the mistake of interchanging them over and over again. Cryptocurrency is the token, it's the coin, it's the whatever it is that I send to somebody else. So I might have some Bitcoin. I send some Bitcoin to my friend. Blockchain, the other half, the blockchain is the technology underneath that manages the movement and tracks it. So, and this is a very low-end description of it. If you have a chance to read this here, it's a little bit better than what I'm saying. But cryptocurrency is the token we pass back and forth. Blockchain is the technology that makes it all work. So it's reasonable to assume that every cryptocurrency has a blockchain, but not every blockchain has a cryptocurrency. Fair enough? And I can clarify that in a little while on the next slide. This is what we're talking about. This is what the whole presentation is about. So someone came and asked, what's the presentation about a little while ago? I should have just said the future of cryptocurrency is application development. Done. For showing up today and having a free lunch, I'm going to go ahead and give you another tip. It's not on a slide. There's no relationship between the price of a cryptocurrency. I could go on my phone and find out, I think Bitcoin's worth, what, $6,000 right now? So Bitcoin must not be doing that well, because it was at $19,000 last year. There's no correlation between the price of a cryptocurrency and the development, the successes that have been found within the development of those projects. Sure, the price may change because of fear, uncertainty, and doubt, and rumors that go around from the development teams and the different communities that have an incentive in seeing the fluctuation of the coin's price. But that doesn't have a correlation to the successes that are being met or found within the development. There's some really amazing things that have happened in Bitcoin and Litecoin development in the last 6 months, and the price has only been going down. Maybe it's starting to pick up a little bit, we think. So keep that in mind when you're thinking about projects, or you're looking out there, you're reading these articles. There's a lot of FUD out there, fear, uncertainty, and doubt, about, the Bitcoin must not be doing very well because the price keeps going down. Not true. But the biggie that we're talking about is application development. This is where the future is going to be. And I want to talk to you about some of those characteristics that will prove this. So imagine, when you watch the movie trailers, imagine a world. Right? So I want you to imagine a world where we have, let's get my transparency, security. It's cost effective to implement and maintain. The technology is fast, and I can build and trust on top of it, or I can use it as a trusted platform. You can say, Ben, there's already technologies out there where I have some of these. And you're 100% right. I can implement a system with Oracle. Boy, that's fast. It's not very cost effective, but it's mostly secure if it's done right. And, okay, so I've got that. I can also go with SQLite. It's not very secure. It's fast. It's definitely cost effective, but it doesn't have all 5. I have a technology now called blockchain technology, cryptocurrency, that gives me the combination of all 5. And as an application developer, as a technical designer, this makes me terribly excited. Because whenever I'm thinking about, as an entrepreneur, a new project, my toolkit of am I going to build this in Ruby? Am I going to build it in Node.js? Am I going to design this in HTML, whatever? I now have a new tool available to me that offers these 5 key features, which were hard to come by in the past, in one platform to build on. I want to talk to you about I think I made 4 examples, and this is the first one. 4 examples. Healthcare medical records. These are the things that I lose sleep over because as an entrepreneur, as a business person, I want to build applications on top of this technology. I've got all these ideas for all these apps that I want to build, and I don't nearly have enough time. One of them is healthcare records, and this is the first of the 4. It's probably the one that I'm the most excited about, and who knows what's going to happen. I may end up getting into this space. Imagine a world where you can show up at your doctor's office and with your phone, you can authorize your doctor to see all of your healthcare records that you own. You manage them. It's your data. I mean, literally, it's about you. It's your data. And you authorize your doctor to see that data so they can do what they do with you. And then I can go over to, now I was just at my general practitioner, now I can go over to, and this is weird because this just doesn't happen today, I can go over to my dentist and I can authorize my medical records to my dentist so they don't have to charge me again to do my blood pressure test. Or I can say, I think you did that x-ray 6 months ago when I was last here. I don't think you need to charge me $70 again. Oh yeah, you're right. Gee whiz, I guess we don't get to charge you that again. And that data is managed by you on your phone, or maybe an ID card. We've got lots of ways to identify you. That technology is being worked out. How about this example? My friend is in India and falls down and breaks their arm and has to see an Indian doctor. Oh my gosh. So I got to get on a Skype call. I got to call my home doctor. I might call my brother or my mom to help me out. I need you to get those medical records because we got to do this whole shuffle thing. Meanwhile, I'm on drugs and I'm in pain. How much is this going to cost me? There's all this business. Who knows? Instead, I'm in India. There's my medical records. And my doctor that I'm seeing, my attending doctor, can do what needs to be done. Another piece to it is, what about insurance companies and government? And I'm thinking of the World Health Organization, the UN, United States government, and insurance companies to be able to offer the services and products that they have. Well, they can see all the data, except that your name, your social, your address isn't attached to it. I can see it, and I can see that, wow, in the Northwest there seems to be a flu thing happening right now. And boy, in the Southwest there seems to be an obesity thing going on right now. I can build products and services and on trends, yet there's no address or personal identifying information on that. When I go see the doctor, my data is removed and seen from it. It becomes clear. And hidden, it's almost like hiding a bird amongst a whole flock of birds. When you see the doctor and you authorize it, you get to see that one bird. So think about that concept of you owning your data and being able to kind of carry it around with you wherever you go. So that's the medical records example that I wanted to give. Oh, did I get the next slide? No. Okay, the next one was democracy. And so this is, what's the number one, I think that this is the case, what's the number one reason that voter turnout is so low? People don't think that their vote counts. Also, we have, I guess, and could go on to talk about this for a couple hours about voter suppression, but people don't think that their vote counts, so they don't participate in the process. And doesn't take very long to Google for news articles and information about this. We now have the technology, and there are companies that are developing products that are doing this right now. We have the ability for you to vote on your phone. You can walk up to any ATM, even regardless of whether you're a member of that bank or not. And you can go to the little voting tab in the corner, and you can vote. you can go to the local library if you're not near an ATM or you don't have a mobile phone. So you can get your vote in there. It automatically keeps track that you didn't vote twice. It tallies the votes automatically, and because of the way the technology works with that trust piece, you know that it can't be tampered with. Boy, I can do it 7 days a week, 24 hours a day, and maybe I have a job where I'm in a situation where taking time off to go vote isn't so convenient. Well, that's okay. This system works now. I can do it with my phone. I can do it at the ATM, walking home from school, walking home from my job, wherever. So you don't have these systems in place to prevent people from speaking their voice, or at least participating in the process. So voting is a big space for cryptocurrency, or at least blockchain. Logistics. This one's already been done, and it's being redone better and better. And I've held in my hand the proof of concept devices that are doing this. It's a device. It clamps onto the inside of the truck, and it tracks the GPS coordinates every 15 minutes. It tracks the barometric pressure, and it tracks the temperature of the container. And so when the buyer, which is maybe Harris Teeter in North Carolina, buys a ton of raspberries and they're shipped from California, I know that when they arrive partially damaged, I can go to my contract, of which there's a whole layer of insurance products that can now be bought and sold on top of this. I can go to my contract and with my shipper, with my logistics company, and I can get a discount on my shipping costs because they just didn't do their job right. And they don't have the opportunity to lie about it anymore. The data's right there. It's immutable. It can't be changed. It's on the blockchain. Those systems are already being built and are in production. There's several companies competing in that space. This one is, the last one is asset management. There's a really great project. If you're taking notes or you want to go follow up on one of these things, one of the projects is called Storj, S-T-O-R-J. It's storj.io. This company has managed to figure out how to store data on the blockchain around the world at half the cost of storing your data on Amazon's S3 storage. So, you know, we all know, I have a Dropbox folder for the company, I've got my Google Drive, we've got a relative idea of what that price is to store a couple of gigs of data for our design files or our backups. Storj, S-T-O-R-J, that company, has managed to cut that price in half with zero risk of loss of files. And it's an unlimited storage space. Participants get to participate, they get paid to store, they give up a little bit of their drive space on their computer, and they can store those files. They're encrypted, they're secure, so your private stuff doesn't get seen by anybody else. Asset management is really great. Think of that lawyer's office. I was just at the attorney a couple of days ago working on a title. We're all done with it. I asked her, I said, well, where's that being stored? Well, I put it into a folder and it goes into a vault. It takes up space and she has to pay rent. What if we could just digitize that document and store it in the cloud and it was accessible at any time and the cost to store it was a fraction of what you're paying to physically store that paper document right now? And also it could be stored for generations. That's kind of a cool idea. Think of I was thinking about maybe my IRS documents. You're supposed to save your tax returns, right? Every couple of years. You just save them long term. All right, all this stuff is great, but it brings up a few, Ben, what about? I can think there's a couple crypto nerds in the room right here, and they're probably saying, well, Ben, what about this, or what about that? Let's go ahead and talk about three of them. One of them that's slowing development down is volatile transaction fees. What do I mean? Has everybody heard of Ethereum? Yeah, there's a bunch of hands. So most everybody's heard of Ethereum in here. It's in the news along with the name Bitcoin. When Ethereum first came out, this is a technology where not only can you send and receive it like a cryptocurrency, but the blockchain allows you to write code. So you know, if this, then that kind of thing. So I can write a smart contract. When that technology first came out, the price of the coin was very low. So the cost to execute a smart contract was also very inexpensive. But as the price of the coin went up, the cost of the fee to execute that smart contract went up with it. It's kind of like you may own your car, but you still got to pay a gas fee to get to your destination. It kind of works the same way. So the price of cars go up and the price of gas kind of went up with it. So after a while, we didn't really know, as application developers, we didn't know, should I build this application on top of Ethereum? The gas cost, the fee for daily transaction is volatile. I don't know what it is. How do I build on top of that? That's like building a structure on top of a foundation of sand. As an application developer, I'm not going to choose to build on top of Ethereum because I don't know what my costs are day to day for my customers or my applications. That's just one example, and there's lots of them out there with coins that gained interest, their prices went up, and their fees went up. Last year when Bitcoin was at $19,000 per coin, it took, I think maybe 50, we'd have to Google this to get the exact numbers, but it was around $50 fee to do a single transaction. This was supposed to be a technology that came along so I could go through the drive-thru, beep, beep, pay for that coffee. I knew that my receiver would get it, the sender knew it would go out, it was trusted, I could drive off, it would just be done. It would cost a fraction of a penny. The man up at Visa wouldn't, could piss off and I could just go down this happy journey. Well, it didn't work out that way because there's still some design flaws. Let's go on to the next one because that example kind of touches on scalability a little bit. Did I hit the wrong key? Yeah. Okay, so here's some examples for that volatile transactions fees item. And I know you crypto nerds are I agree with you, Tether has a little bit of a history to it, but Tether is what we call a stable coin. Tether is equal to $1. So one Tether is always equal to $1. So it doesn't fluctuate. It's not volatile. It may not have any value or be backed by anything, but it doesn't fluctuate. There's another one on here that's really neat, MakerDAO. If you're taking some notes or you want to watch the video later or get the slideshow, you can Google MakerDAO. Really interesting work that they're doing to mitigate these concerns. Okay, scalability. And I'm going to bring up that next one. Okay, scalability. Ethereum, it was on NPR maybe 3 weeks ago, the CryptoKitties craze. Have you guys heard about CryptoKitties? Yeah, okay, so what is that? I'll just give you a really brief, silly example of it. It's digital art that is created and the owner of that individual piece of digital art is able to control the distribution of it and the creation of it, and they can actually buy and sell it. It's a commodity that's unique and alone, and you can do things with it. So in a sense, it has value. People were trading these things for over $100,000 a piece. It was the strangest thing. But it was a really cool proof of concept of what's possible with digital assets. For example, maybe you could store your health records, and you could control them and move them around. You could sell or lease access to them to a pharmaceutical company that's trying to do a test run on your genome. Interesting. So, but you could also pull it back when you're done and the lease goes up. That's an interesting concept. The Ethereum network came to a screeching halt because the volume on the network over those weeks when this thing came out was too much for it to handle. This is a technology that's supposed to revolutionize the industry, and it couldn't handle a proof of concept application that people were using. There's some projects out there that are tackling this. I put Ethereum on the list because Ethereum knows about the problem and those smart guys at Ethereum are working on it. We'll see how successful they are. There's some projects that are called DAG coins, directed acyclic graphs. This is a whole new technology where blockchain has kind of been reinvented. And the big boy, the darling of the group, and one of my personal favorites is IOTA. And if you want to read about IOTA, you can go to the website. IOTA has figured out a way to overcome that scalability issue. How cool is this? The bigger it gets, the faster, more stable, and secure it is. It's like a snowball going down a hill. That's how they solve that problem. It's really kind of cool. So do some reading on IOTA if you want to learn more about that. Okay, the last one is excessive energy consumption. So when Bitcoin first came out in 2009, well, geez, you know what? I forget I have a slide on this. So when Bitcoin came out in 2009, the hashing speed, which is correlates almost exactly to the amount of electricity you need to kind of mine coins, create coins. That hashing power was really low. You could create Bitcoin on your laptop is what I'm trying to say. Now you can't. Maybe you've read in articles and you've seen this in a Forbes article or in a Wired article. You need these specialized, expensive computers, and this is a whole industry around this called mining, and we've probably got 1 or 2 miners in the group right now. And they pay a lot of money for that hardware, and they pay a lot of money for electricity because it's very competitive. And what do you know? This is the hash rate curve from 2009 when Bitcoin came online to 2018, and it correlates very closely to the energy consumption. Ben, why does it not correlate perfectly? It's because of Moore's law. People are able to make computers that are faster. So it doesn't correlate perfectly, and there's some market fluctuations because of what's going on in the market. So the question I have for traditional cryptocurrency projects like Bitcoin is, guys, how do you think that curve is going to be sustainable? Why would an application developer build a project on top of your coin when its death is pretty apparent? Yeah. Here's some data to back that up, because just looking at that chart is, it's kind of subjective. So my friend Jeff is here. I want to send Jeff 1 Bitcoin to help him out. Jeff is our libertarian candidate running for District 9 in the U.S. House of Representatives. Did I get that right? I did. Now, I want to send that Bitcoin to Jeff. Think about this. The cost of the world in with regards to climate change, the power to power 30 houses for 1 day, 30.3, that's the electricity cost for me to send that Bitcoin to Jeff. The electricity cost that miners will pay globally, and this is recent data from this website, is $3.6 billion in electricity just to send those transactions. And Bitcoin, because I'm picking on Bitcoin right here, but all coins, once they grow in size, will suffer from these same analytics, as these analytics show. As they grow, they get bigger. The electricity, I just lost my train of thought right there. The electricity costs of $3.6 billion annually for those miners to do their job. In the world of Bitcoin, me and others like us that do research on this, we attribute countries and their amount of electricity that they consume compared to the whole Bitcoin global network. Right now, Austria consumes about the same amount of electricity as the whole global Bitcoin network does. Why? To validate 2 to 5 transactions per second. Just to give you some context, Visa is somewhere between 20 and 40,000 transactions per second. Now, I don't know what Visa's electricity costs are, but if they're anything close to this, well, the lights shouldn't be on. And we're definitely, going to burn the world up. So this isn't a path that we can continue down. And as an innovator, as an entrepreneur, I want to build on top of a foundation that's going to be around for a long time. I can't do that with this. So there are projects out that are working on this. Nano is a project that's managed to keep their energy costs down. Again, I'm back to the darling, IOTA. IOTA is really great because why? They don't have miners. There's no mining fee, so that it's easy for them to get around that problem. And then the last one is Lynx. Lynx is, well, you can see it right there. It's a secure, eco-friendly cryptocurrency, and this was one of the reasons I'm excited to chat with you about it today, is because Lynx is developed right here in Charlotte, North Carolina. I am the founder of Lynx and the lead developer of Lynx, and our partner sponsor, did I say that right? Partner, the originator of the TechTalks, RMC, is one of the development companies that we use to build Lynx, and they do a great job. Congratulations. Yeah. So they're very helpful, but the headquarters and a lot of the ideas for Lynx come out right here in Charlotte, North Carolina. So we're actually doing stuff right here. I want to show you, here we go. So if you were to Google Bitcoin, what's the keyword? Bitcoin mining farm, and go into Google Images and look at the result, you're going to see a lot of really sleazy, scuzzy images like this of these massive warehouses. And this one was 20,000 square feet. Of all these massive computers churning out tons of heat, eating up lots of electricity. And you can go to Wired and Forbes and all these big magazines, and there's tons of articles about this. This isn't anything new. Again, the global electricity cost for all those facilities is $3.6 billion. With Lynx, it consumes 3 square feet, and the annual electricity cost is $3,000. And one of the reasons we're able to do that is because it can run on this. That whole warehouse is replaced by this. There it is doing its work. That's running the Lynx network right now, confirming transactions, moving them around. It's just churning away. The global electricity cost for that is $3,000. Well, Ben, the cost is so much lower and Bitcoin's so much higher, there must be some correlation. What doesn't it do? It does exactly everything that the Bitcoin and the Litecoin network does. You can send and receive transactions, it's super fast, it's got the security layer. How come it's so inexpensive? Well, we made a few, it's our development, it's our secret sauce. And that's how we are able to do what we were going to do. I'll come to you in a second, Scott. Yeah. That's all. Oh, yeah, thank you, because you can't really see it all the way. Yeah, you're right. You're right, Scott. All right, so let me make sure I get it right here. It's actually running off a battery pack. And there it is. I have this black cable is the HDMI cable into the TV. So this battery pack, it consumes so little electricity that this battery pack will power it for 70 hours. Which is interesting. It puts up some ideas, doesn't it? What if you could hook up a solar panel to it and put it into a war zone or use it in a military application or in a low-income situation, maybe a shanty town like I flew over when I was flying into Delhi? You could have commerce and you could have the ability for people to manage and be their own bank. They could save money in a secure way in a system that's run by solar power. And the transaction fees don't gouge them, and it's fast. Interesting. It's a computer.
With everything.
Yeah.
Processor, video card, internet.
No, it doesn't. No, all we're doing is cryptocurrency. This isn't like you go to Facebook. This doesn't watch. You're not watching Netflix here. Yeah, this is just. Yeah, sorry, no Netflix. Maybe that's coming soon. Okay, so yeah, I'm going to go back to my next slide here. So there's that $3,000 a year fee to keep that going. So again, I want to hammer into it, into your heads to get excited about this. And people talk about this, say, Ben, I know you're in cryptocurrency. I want to know what the next big thing is because I want to get rich. Yeah, join the club. Well, you missed it. You missed, it happened about, what, you saw on the chart, 2009. You should have gotten involved in around 2010. And that would have been the time. But you didn't totally miss it. There's all sorts of opportunities. You got to keep your eyes open. The time to make the money just buying something, waiting, and then selling it, like Bitcoin or Litecoin or Ethereum, that time has passed. And if you still want to trade and speculate on it, sure, you can do okay with that. The real money to be made is building the Facebooks and the Twitters and the apps and all the different things that we have that we use every day on our smartphones. Our phones are covered with these apps. It's the application development on top of the blockchain, on top of using cryptocurrency. That's the future, and that's where the real money is going to be. And that's what we developers are getting excited about. And you're not really reading too much about it in the newspaper because these developers know what's going down. They're keeping it to themselves. They got their heads down. They're working on their projects. I know I am. So keep your eyes open. And you know what? I think I have a slide here that gives you yes. Here is a breakdown of, this is just a collection that this gentleman had done of the ones that he put together. These are currencies. I got developer tools, projects for sovereignty, financial technology. The list goes on. This is the future of making money and the future of the products and projects that are going to change I don't know, I think they're going to change the world, to be honest with you. Just like how the internet changed the world in 1995 when we first started going on. I mean, did you imagine in 1995 that I could just pick up my mobile phone and transfer some money from my savings account into my checking account or take care of my bill pay? Right? Oh, wow, someone's going to be able to do that someday? I can't wait. We're doing it again right now. And here's some of those logos and some of those projects that are working on that. Questions?
Now, forgive me if my knowledge is technologically dated, but when I started in computers, I'm not a most recent technologist, but when I was developing software, basically you're talking about applications being built on cryptocurrency and blockchain. Applications, when I was developing them, were built on an operating system. They were built on a software programming language, and they're built on utilities created here. They weren't built on a currency. I don't understand this. or blockchain, is one of those or both of those an operating system, a set of programming languages, or a set of software utilities? 'Cause that's what I think.
It's a great question. It's a great question.
Terminology.
Yeah. Thank you. The space is so diverse. There are some projects that are out there that are only specific to mimicking the functions of a database. So maybe I have an application, I build it with my Node.js developers, but I need functions within it where once the vote is tallied, I need to know that it's not tamperable. I can't get that with my Oracle or my SQLite or my other database selection, my MariaDB or whatever. So I'm going to use a project that's going to store an immutable data store. So in that case, it might be a blockchain application. Hyperledger would be good for that one. There's a whole bunch to pick from. There's a bunch of them that would mimic my database features. What about an operating system, a global operating system? I'm not sure if it's on here, but Golem is a project, and is it on here? I don't see it. Yeah, Golem is a project that has, this is really, I think it's out there, and I did a bunch of reading on it, and to be honest with you, it's so far-fetched, I have a hard time thinking it's legitimate, but they're serious about it, and they're going to go for it, and I support that. It's a global operating system, so all of these computers, all of these nodes, they come online. Just like my Raspberry Pi, when I turn it on, it connects to the network, and it becomes part of this global brain. Then I can do stuff with it. I have a user account. I can send, I can receive, I can build, I can log into it, just like a computer. So this technology creates these structures that you're describing as a technologist as we build on and build with. It's creating these structures for us at all different levels. So is it obviously going to be mimicking Linux or the hardened functions of Linux? Probably not yet, but boy, I think we might be going in that direction. Yeah. Yeah. It's really exciting when you go into the space to see all the different projects and how they're solving all these different problems in different ways. Yeah. Scott, you had a question. Or did I already address it? Yeah. I'm open to any other questions that you might have.
No, I have a question.
Okay.
I was going to ask, so with this running the way it's running, it's going fast, right?
Yeah.
What happens if you take one of those really, really powerful rigs that's not eco-friendly and put this on that?
If I take a really powerful
Like
what?
say you take a Bitcoin rig.
Yeah.
And then you mine Lynx, would you mine it at what?
Okay.
Full rate?
All right. I love talking about this. So if I
Would
go
it
off the
flatten
rails,
out
just
the whole
yeah.
thing? Would it just
Yeah.
immediately flatten it out to where then it's an expanded high
Okay.
consumption thing?
What happens if on the Lynx network, which runs on these low-power, low-processor devices, if a high-powered miner, maybe that was used on a Litecoin network, on the Bitcoin network, one of those big, powerful ones, comes online and acts like a bully? Will it win all of the mining rewards? Will it take over the world? Will it do all of these things? The answer is I spent a lot of time solving that problem. And the answer is no, it won't cause a problem. It may win the first block. It may win one of those. And then it can't win another one for once we're in production. You're looking at the development environment running. Once it's in production, it can't win another one for 60 more blocks. And as the system ages over time, that time length gets longer. So the system is kind of maturing and aging with the user group. So as the users and as the system grows larger, it becomes more difficult for a big boy, a big bully to come along and manipulate the network.
Okay.
There's also, yeah, I don't really want to go into too much detail here.
It would flatten the economy if they did that, but that's a good way to stop.
Well, so when Satoshi Nakamoto released the white paper, there was a characteristic that was written in there. One of the design characteristics was, I'm going to create this cryptocurrency blockchain thing, and you're all going to compete with computers and electricity. And that's what's going to keep the network secure. That's what we've learned. And we haven't really questioned it that much, except for those DAG coin projects, those direct acyclic graph projects. They've questioned that a little bit. I question it. I personally don't like the idea of burning all the coal in the world so I can turn on the air conditioners because it's so hot. Oh, it's kind of like this snake eating its tail. If I chew up more and more electricity and damage the climate in the world, what am I really doing? Just to confirm a certain number of transactions? That's not really a very good system. Let's go ahead and solve that problem. So my designs within Lynx turn that on its head. Instead of using hardware and electricity to secure the network, we use very large data, random numbers, and distribution to randomize, in addition, make difficult the ability for an individual miner to win a block.
Cool.
Yeah.
Could you emulate the hardware on a big rig though, like 1,000 times to where it looks like it's multiple hardware?
If you put a big rig on Lynx, it wouldn't look any different than a Raspberry
I
Pi.
don't know if we could change it out to where it looked like one big rig running 20 Raspberry Pi,
You could do that.
and that would then suffice that big rig to people.
We have a proof of concept. One of our developers is in Sweden, and he has a big rig sitting on his living room floor, and it has a virtual machine, 70 virtual machines inside of it. Each one of them has its own screen like this.
Yeah.
And they just do their thing. The network's still secure. Works like a champ. Yeah.
Any concerns with the trust/encryption with the advances in like AI and the quantum computer? So I've been reading a lot about that, and I guess once it gets cracked, like, you know.
Yes, I have opinions on this. And I have feelings on this. So artificial intelligence, the question is, if you don't understand it, or at least make sure I understand it, is artificial intelligence and the speed and power of these technologies over time as it evolves, will that ever question the security, the encryption security of these systems? Also, artificial intelligence may be able to think in a certain way faster than us, and that poses a security risk beyond the encryption. The short answer is artificial intelligence works spectacular within the environment that it's developed for. My dog is really smart, but I can't ask him to make a bowl of soup. Yeah.
I think we have time for one more.
Say again?
One more question.
Yeah, one more question. If there's any more questions. Scott, or Jeff Scott, sorry.
A couple of years ago, we were having these discussions when Bitcoin was becoming popular about the idea that there would be a lot of regulatory blowback and a lot of things about the nature of it as a property and how the larger institutions would kind of attempt to kill it. So that seems to have changed quite a bit.
It has.
So the question is, how did that change?
There's a couple reasons, and I'll go ahead and focus on the big one. So big banks, capital markets, and big banks realized that if Bitcoin and all these various emerging market coins were allowed to do what they were going to do, they were going to eat the big banks' lunch. Because the big banks make their money on fees. And it doesn't take very long to Google what type of fees those are. It's pretty obnoxious, the billions of dollars that the banks rake in. With the promises that blockchain technologies give us, the banks got really nervous. And so with these large organizations, one of the first things to do, and the easiest one to implement, is through legislative restrictions. So you go ahead and put out, change the law so that it's difficult for people to go ahead and try these new innovations. What happened over time was the banks started to realize, wow, you know what? We can still do what we do. We can still release these products and services that we have, and we can build them on top of this thing. It's only going to make our technology lower in cost, a little bit more efficient. We're not totally evil, so we could benefit from some of this technology. So there's a whole column here of projects and companies, and there's some in the currency section too, that are specifically for the finance tech industry. Ripple comes to mind. Ripple, maybe you've heard of it. Has anybody heard of Ripple? Yeah, there's a few. Yeah, because it's in the news a little bit more. Ripple is a really great example, and a lot of hardcore old school crypto nerds hate Ripple because they sold out. Yeah, really what they did was they just worked with the regulative environment. They worked with the banks, they worked with the government, said, we've got something great. You guys can use it, it's going to make you money, and it's going to improve quality of service, it's going to get the job done quicker. Well, geez, banks are thinking, okay, that's not such a bad idea. So now when a bank has a shipping contract for one of those big cargo ships that goes overseas, it's $1 million in insurance, and that contract takes a couple weeks to put together, they can now use the Ripple network to iron out that whole process for a fraction of the cost in an hour or two. And the money is transferred, insurance contracts are written on it. Wow. Insurance products are sold on top of it. It's really, and it lowers costs for the consumer. Shipping companies love it, the banks love it, customs love it. Yeah, they're realizing that there are opportunities to be found. Now, things are going to be slow. I really doubt that the Republican and the Democratic Party are going to be embracing the changes to the system voting technology because they've got their own systems laid in. They've invested a lot of time into those systems that they have. But I think it's going to change. Maybe not in 5 years or 10 years, maybe 20 years, but it'll happen. And there's always going to be application developers that are trying new things. Yeah, did I get that question? Yeah. Everyone, thanks for coming out today. By the way, the last slide is, did I get it up? No. Is the Tech Startup 101.
November 15th, yes.
November 15th, free lunch.
That's going to be for much wider audience, well, actually, we'll have a regular audience here too, but it's going to be all about turning your idea into a successful digital product. So we'll have people that will talk about, the money it takes, the path you need to take, and what is the definition, what is the difference between, let's say, proof of concept and prototype, and what you need to consider, and things like that. So please do consider coming.
I'm going to be sticking around for a little while. If anybody has any questions, I'm available. Beep, beep.